Guys, today we're gonna have a quick chat about what should get hit in V Premium or V Standard, whatever you want to call it. Because context being, recently we had clan collections being revealed, and so far the clan collections have been very consistent in terms of the power level, which has been not that great, right? Not that great. They've done some interesting stuff. They have some creative card designs, but because of old sets, right, like VB12 and sometimes Bermuda, a lot of these cards just aren't played, right? A lot of these new grade 3s just aren't played because the old ones are so good. The old one's so good. Alright, so today we're going to hit some stuff. We're going to talk about a theoretical ban list, we're going to hit some cards, and then talk about why that has happened. So let's get started. There's going to be a few hits here, basically on every single big deck in V currently. And there's a few, right? There's a few. I mean, another thing we have to really consider, it's been a year, over a year now, probably, since the last big change in the format. And the format's going to get stale the longer it stays the same way. So these are kind of, I think these are kind of required. Since we already know all the power levels of the recent clan collection as well, it's time to do it, right? So yeah, first hit we're going to do is for Bermuda Triangle. And this is going to be a choice restrict between Ellie, Lieselot, and Top Idol Aqua. Now, we all know about this, the holy trinity of these three cards, right? Ellie, great defensive card. Lieselot, just a great card overall. And Top Idol Aqua lets you bounce good cards, spike Lieselots repeatedly. So you now just have to pick one out of the three and deal with it, right? You want defense, you can get Ellie, but you can't get Lieselot. If you want offense, early offense, you want to do that double Lieselot play, well, you know, you can, but you just don't get Ellie. And you don't get to reuse that ability as well for Aqua. Now, I was considering just hitting Ellie and Lieselot, but if we look at some of the new builds of Prism, right, especially with the Highlander build, they don't really run many Lieselots. So they'll just run Ellie, and then, you know, just abuse all their cards of Aqua and things like that, like Katia. So this actually lets you just kind of choose, right? If you want to ride the highlighter build as well, you don't get to abuse Ellie's, right? Even though it's a great target. If you want to abuse your Qtias with Aqua, you got to pick Aqua. So this kind of covers basically all that. So you got to pick one. Do you want to reuse your good cards? Do you want to have some good offense and soul management, or do you want some great defense? And that should kind of at least hit some of the bigger decks, at least like Prism, right, out pretty well. Prism kind of gets to do multi-attacks, draw a bunch of cards, and have good defense because of Ellie, and good early play. Now you only get one, right? Now, well, actually you don't get you have to like, miss one at least, so that should at least keep it in check a bit. So that's fine, but also we have to hit another thing in Bermuda Triangle, and that is Prudent Blue Meep to 1 or 2. I think 1 is better, right? Once we hit a lot of these things, right? Melody is still going to be this boogeyman deck that kind of ruins the metagame. If you can't deal with Melody, you're just going to have a rough time, really. They're going to go wide, they're going to have insane intercept, they're going to hit very big, and you're just going to die. So we're going to kind of keep Melody in check. And yeah, I think hitting the Meep to 1 is just better, right? Meep is a great consistency tool for Melody. Just hitting like 1 or 2 definitely puts it in a way better position than what it will normally be at. So I think hitting to 1 is great, because if Melody gets 2 off, they're pretty much good to go, right? And you don't really want it a format where, you know, wow, Melody drew 2 Meeps that game, so they automatically won. No, just the best they can do is 1. Sometimes they don't get it. They'll have to be forced to run some other grade 1s like Sedna's, which is a huge downgrade, actual huge downgrade, if they want to still play it the same way, which they can. But yeah, that is basically, I think, the hit that will kind of keep Melody a bit in check. Just kind of nerf their consistency and their earlier game. Alright, so let's move on to Gold Paladin. For me, Gold Paladin is very, very easy. We just need to hit Percival to 1. Percival is like the freest grade 3 they have ever printed in their entire life. For every single clan that has acceleration, right, or any sort of gift marker acceleration, yeah, Percival is just so good. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. It is literally just CB1 to get an Excel 2. No questions asked. And the other effect it has, which is just giving your extra circles 5k more power, yeah, that's actually a great secondary ability, right? So there are literally no downsides to this card, apart from the fact that maybe it's like grade 3, right? So it has no defense, but that's not really a downside. So yeah, Percival to 1, you don't wanna let Excel, especially Excel, accelerate so much in V. If they get the one Percival, that's fine. If they don't, that's, well, too bad, right? Too bad. It kind of frees up the grade 3 slots a bit, lets you run other cards, and you can still run Aglavale. Aglavale is still a great card. So yeah, hitting Percival to 1, I think, will just kind of solve the issue, and kind of future-proof the entire deck as well. Which should be pretty good. Angel Feather. Angel Feather is a very easy hit, I think. We just hit Hamiel to 1 as well. The problem with Angel Feather, really, nowadays, is not, like, just the huge one-shot Hamiel turns. It is everything after it, right? So they're going to make big Hamiel turn 1, you're going to be able to guard that, but then they're going to make another big Hamiel turn the next turn, then you're dead, right? And they're going to make a big Hamiel turn the turn after that, then you're dead again. So killing the follow-ups to Hamiel will definitely just make this deck much more manageable, the Gabriel version. But also, right, like, sure, if they draw the 1 copy, they got a good offense. If they don't, too bad, right? But Angel Feather is one of those decks that can kind of dig pretty well, or pretty hard, to get what they want to get. So they should generally always get their Hamiel, but they just don't have 2nd, 3rd, 4th Hamiel to try and kill you. And I think that's just rather fair, right? That's just way more fair than it normally is. So lastly, we have Shadow Paladin. This one was actually the hardest to restrict. I mean, there's just a lot of things you can do to allow it to absolutely kill it. And sure, I think a lot of people want to kill the deck because it's been around for a while and it's always been a pain in people's sides. Getting 3 force marks a turn is pretty silly. But no, we don't want to kill decks, right? We want to see them do well, right? We don't want to do something like, oh, you can't use Drag Heart with Drag Drive. That's not a good fix. The hardest part of Luard is, like, you either hit it too weakly or you hit it too strongly, because something like choice restricting Drag Heart with, like, Apocalypse Bat really doesn't do anything. There's still other ways like multi-attack, like Rudar, and just not multi-attacking more than Morfessa. And it's just fine, right? You can play stable Luard and still do very, very well. But then if you hit something like Morfessa, for example, something that became a very lame 3-attack deck that doesn't do much, feels bad. So hitting it like that, I feel, is not the correct way. So I think the best hit is actually increasing the choice restrict it has. So now you have to choose between Luard, Nemain, and Abyssal Owl. Now, why Abyssal Owl? Well, Abyssal Owl is a card that enables a lot, right? Being able to Soul Blast for its effect makes going 2nd fine for you. You're able to still keep up in terms of just advantage, right? But also, on your lame turns, if you're playing like very, very lame turns, you can still put on a really, really good aggression with Abyssal Owl on your, like, stacked up force markers, right? Without using any CB, because you have a choice. You have a choice between Soul Blasting and Counter Blasting. If you feel like one resource is skewed, is not as good as the other, you can just use the other resource, right? If you want to get some drag drivers in the bin, perfect Soul Blast fodder. So spamming out Abyssal Owl is actually a legit way for Luard to get through some lame turns, and then just, you know, get a decent hand and win. So hitting that makes you makes the deck kind of be forced to run something like Swordbreaker? Yeah. Swordbreaker, which is nearly the same thing. It's like a 5k that can draw a card, but you can only CB1 with it, right? You can only CB1 with it. And not giving Luard the option to be able to Soul Blast and just force it to use CB is pretty good. It's actually, I think, is a pretty good hit, I think. You still get the draw, but you can't spam it as much as you want. You have to, if you're spamming it, then you have to rely on Charons to be able to Soul Blast and Countercharge, and that's putting a lot of reliance on one card there as well. So you don't get as much value, I guess, or you don't get as much flexibility as you would normally have. So I think that's a pretty decent hit. Luard will probably just go back to using Sword Breakers, and that will kind of be like, you'll kind of nerf its going 2nd, will kind of nerf its aggressive plays early, where they kind of commit Nemains down for free, just to put on aggression. So yeah, I think that's good enough. Now, the sad part here is, because of this choice restrict, other decks can't play Nemain with Abyssal Owl, which is a bit sad. So if you're like a PBO fanatic, you can't put in Nemain and then Abyssal Owl. That's pretty much it. So it's kind of a nerf for that, but again, they can still play Sword Breakers. They just don't get the freeload with the Soul Blast. If you want the flexibility of Abyssal Owl, then you gotta pay for it, right? Which is no Nemain. So overall, I think that's fine. I think that's better for the meta. Abyssal Owl is definitely it's a very strong card in that it's very versatile. So maybe this is the correct way, but this will at least hit Lawad, I think, in a way which gives it more weaknesses compared to just destroying the entire deck. So overall, I think these are the correct choices. These will kind of just nerf a lot of the decks that are currently at the top and give the clan collection stuff a bit more of a fighting chance. Unfortunately, if you're a Nova Grappler player, I don't know. You guys, see you next time, right? See you next time. But yeah, overall, I think this nerfs them enough to the point where the clan collection sets might be able to make some impact, as well as still making them perfectly fine decks to be able to play. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If this is correct, do you want to see different kind of nerfs? Is your clan destroyed? Right? Is your clan destroyed, or has it already been destroyed? Let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.